I'm sure you've already seen these kinds of results on Google, results that are a little bit different from the normal ones when you search, for example, for a recipe, a movie, and so on. But also when stars appear directly under the articles. Well, that actually has a name. These aren't ads, they're what we call rich results. These rich results are powered by something completely invisible to the user, but it's still crucial for your visibility, both on the SERP and also in the eyes of crawlers, whether from Google, Yahoo, Bing, and so on. But also increasingly for AIs like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, and this is called Schema Markup. If you're not using it today, your content is just plain text to search engines and LLMs. But with it, you'll be able to tell these search engines and crawlers exactly what topics you're talking about. So in this video, I'm going to show you how Schema Markup works and how to implement it. And most importantly, how it can improve your visibility both on classic Google Search GPT as well as on the AI and LLM side. To really understand what this is about, we need to go back to the basics. In fact, Schema Markup is simply a piece of code that you add to your site to tell search engines what your content is about. This piece of code can then potentially allow you to get what are called rich snippets, which can be, for example, star ratings, or it can make your page stand out in a certain way. For instance, if you're talking about a movie, a recipe, or anything else. And this Schema Markup follows a very specific vocabulary, which you can find here on Schema.org. So it's an organization that actually maintains this library, and it's used by all search engines, whether it's Bing, Yahoo, or Google. The idea is that for each category, you'll find details about the exact types and properties related to these snippets and especially how to use them. Now I'm going to show you how this works in practice on Google. Google has very clear and comprehensive documentation on how it supports this structured data. And so this Schema Markup, for example, here I go into all the structured data features. And here I can go into articles. So I see that when I publish an article, it can appear like this on Google if I add the correct Schema Markup. The Schema Markup will therefore be in this format. It's a piece of code with just some HTML tags, and each time there will be properties that depend on the type of structured data I want to add to the site. Here, for example, for an article, I would simply add, for instance, the headline of my article. I can also add images, the publication date, modification date, authors, and so on. And all of this will also strengthen the structure of the site, since you will be making it easier for Google to access this information, such as who wrote this blog post and so on. As you can see, there are a huge number of different types of structured data. To help you find your way a bit better, I've listed which ones are my favorites and which ones I use the most, especially for blog articles and so on. More like an airlock. Specifically, my favorites are article or blog posting when I publish blog articles. Everything related to FAQ pages, since with those you can appear directly as an FAQ in Google. This allows you to have better visibility on this SERP. There's also everything related to review and aggregate rating. These will allow you to get those little stars that, not really any SEO benefit, but on the other hand, they can help increase the CTR. Because, well, to a potential client, it will show that your application is highly rated. There's also everything related to software application, which lets you describe a software product, which is more for a physical product, and finally organization, which I always use on a homepage to precisely describe the organization, what you do, etc. These are really going to be the most important ones, in my opinion. And another advantage of software application is that you can add an aggregate rating property and therefore potentially benefit from the rich snippet. Stars, meaning you can have stars displayed directly on landing pages, for example, to boost your application. Now let's imagine we want to implement Schema Markup on this page. So as you can see, this page is a home page. So I'll want to use something like organization, because that's the best way to describe a home page in terms of Schema Markup, according to Google's documentation. To do this, I just need to use ChatGPT. I'm going to ask it to crawl my page and, based on the information it finds there, to give me a complete Schema Markup that I can implement on the site. Obviously, this is a schema that I'll be able to tweak a bit afterwards to add more data and even include new elements like products inside it, etc. So that Google clearly understands what I'm doing. If you see, he finds me then, all the information for me, and creates this piece of code. In this piece of code, there will obviously be some information to modify. For example, here the two people are correct, but I'm going to have some errors. For instance, I don't have a Twitter account here for the company Cardinal. I'll be able to remove it. I'll simply rework this piece of code. And then I just need to copy it into the header of my site. This can be done directly on your CMS, no matter whether you're using Webflow, WordPress, or anything else. I'm going to show you how to make it work on Webflow. On Webflow, I go here to my home page, directly into the settings. And in the site settings, under custom code, I can simply paste into my header my schema markup. Once I've done that, I'll be able to publish my site and of course test it. So once you've implemented this structured data on your site, all that's left is to test it, to make sure everything is working properly. For this, there are two tools, the first being the Schema Markup Validator. For that, you just need to simply enter your URL. On the site, the test studies, and this will show you right away if there are any errors or not in the structured data you have entered. Once we've checked that the schema markup doesn't have any issues, there's another essential tool, this one, to check if the page is compatible with rich results. For example, will we get stars in the SERP or things like that? In the same way, I'm going to test my site's URL. And so here, I'll then get a whole bunch of recommendations about fields, for example, that haven't been properly configured, etc. And this is information I can give back to ChatGPT so it can provide me with a complete and correct schema markup. Here, apparently, all the elements are valid and I can see that I'm going to have non-critical issues that I'll be able to fix directly. Here, for example, in the description of one of my products, apparently, I'm missing an availability field and a price valid until field, which are part of the offer property. Typically, I can give this to ChatGPT and ask it to fill in these fields, specifying that this product is indeed available and that the price is valid at all times. You now know everything about schema markup and how to implement this structured data directly on your site. This technical SEO practice is becoming increasingly important, especially in the era of AI-driven search. We've seen, in fact, with SearchGPT, Gemini, as well as Grok and Perplexity, that more and more LLMs will rely on this kind of data to reference you in comparison to your competitors when users make queries about your products. So it's essential to master these concepts and implement them on your site. And if you want to go even further, this is a topic we're actively working on with ZeroClick, since our goal is to create a tool that will allow you to track mentions of your brand directly within LLMs. Indeed, the world of tomorrow will search directly through AIs and not necessarily systematically through Google. So it's important to prepare for this and little by little put in place these levers that will allow you to gain traffic through these channels. I wish you a great day and see you soon for new videos. Don't hesitate to subscribe.